Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are live. Bit of a surprise evening ahead. We have a third outturn preview for the month of December. Typically, for those of you, I know a lot of you tuning in are familiar with our outturn process, but the Scotch Malt Whisky Society of America, we usually have two different outturns released over the course of a month, both of them encompassing a wide selection of single cask whiskeys available for our members. But because it's the holidays, it's December, it's winter, I don't know, there's a new variant coming around. We're all stuck at home. We need to take some more whiskey. We've decided, no, it's not really because of that reason, but we plan this every year. We've released a third outturn, or we're going to rather, tomorrow. And so, as you probably can tell by the title, I have brought some special friends with me, a couple guys I've met a number of years ago. You may know them from YouTube. Actually, I'm sure you all know them from YouTube. I don't know where else you know them from. They are a rising star in the Whiskey Tube community and have been for some time. Some call them dumb, others just call them dummies. Now, usually there are four of them, but we got the best ones with us tonight. There are only two, and that's because it's Mark and Drew from the Scotch 4 Dummies. Let's call you two tonight.
What an intro!
We're famous now because we're on your show.
Yes, the SMWSA America YouTube channel is paving the way for black backgrounds and white logos. And you guys,
we match. We're ready. Hey, happy holidays first, man.
Happy holidays to you.
Away, right? I mean, not even a week. What's the date today? The 20th?
It's like 4 days away. Nuts.
I hope you're ready.
I was wondering if there'd be some ugly Christmas sweaters. In fact, I heard a society member called in, I think, place an order and asked if we could wear ugly sweaters today on YouTube. And I was like, I don't really want an ugly sweater. But
we actually had a Christmas party this past weekend and the theme was ugly sweater. So we could have been prepared. I don't know if mine is.
Yours probably would not have.
Mine wouldn't be really safe for the channel, but that's because I usually push things a little too far.
We had a good time though. We could have worn.
Yeah, we could have. We didn't know.
Well,
but anyway, super excited, man. I can't believe you caught me off guard with this outturn, and I've been a member now for 3 or 4 years, and I'm like, what? A third outturn? You're killing me. But there's a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, it's funny. We were in talks a few months ago about joining, and then there were a few reasons we rescheduled and rescheduled again. I think we were going to join us like in September or October initially. We had this whole outturn lined up. We had this third one. And I was like, let's just do the final one of the year. The Scotch 4 Dummies. I know for a lot of you, if you haven't subscribed to their channel already, please do. But I know a lot of you are fans of their work as well, and tune into their live streams and watch their reviews and whatnot. But you guys have been such a big supporter of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. The years that I've known you, and when I joined the company, you were really well. And I remember I met Mark. You were already a member at the time, and then Drew, you and I met in person in Wichita. And I think you actually signed up then. I did
at that event.
Yeah. But anyway, so we just appreciate you guys, being part of it. So it's funny, for just a little third outturn of the month, we actually have the most whiskeys tasted on a live stream. Yeah, or a live outturn preview tonight. So
yeah, we got to get busy here because you've got
a little. This is a lot. This is a good outturn. I'm excited for it.
Before we do, we got to get moving because tonight, everybody, we actually have 7 whiskeys. May have said 8 in the email, but we actually had to pull one just with importing it. There was a delay, but still, we usually do 4 or 5 whiskeys at the most. We have 7 tonight. These are all dropping at smwsa.com tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time. You guys know the drill. But before we get started, just quick shout out to everybody watching. Tamar, I saw you were the first in the chat. We were talking about you earlier. He says TikTok waiting is the hardest part. Well, wow, that was 30 minutes ago. Okay. I hope you're thirsty. Welcome, Tom. Dale's in the house. Good to see you, Dale. Welcome back. Jeremy Burns says, are we sad being here early? Again, these were all, I'm catching up. This is no, Jeremy, it's not sad. That's called the dedication. I appreciate you. Brian Baumstein's here. Good to see you. Mash and Drum said, what's do we got?
Jason.
Good to see you, Jason. Pickly Doo's back. Hey, friends, happy Monday. That's of all the YouTube or Google names, the Pickly Doo is like the one I will never forget.
That is good.
Yeah. For whatever reason. Anyway. Everybody, we want to get through this. We want to address all your questions and comment. But let's get to it. So 7 whiskeys, as I mentioned, all dropping tomorrow. First one, you guys, how about this? I'll go ahead just for order. I brought Mark and Drew on, obviously, to share their raw impressions. I mean, that's kind of what we do. Our team, we just share our honest impressions of all these whiskeys. But I think it's good to have people outside of our own team, just to. I think we're always trying to think of the perspective of the member. So I don't want anybody to think that you're getting any sort of biased, information or opinions of the whiskey. So that's why we're trying to bring on more guests, and obviously also their familiar faces. You guys love them. So here we go. So as we go how about this? I'll introduce the whiskey real quick, and then let's just kind of have a round. We'll all talk about them. We'll nose them. We'll taste them. We'll add some water if you choose to, and give a quick impression. I think that what I like to do with these, though, for everybody watching, is maybe offer, a suggestion as to who would really enjoy this whiskey. Because all the whiskeys are good. It's just about finding one that's right for your palate. That's always the role. Again, I've taken, is not just to really score the whiskey. It's just to think of like, what's the good occasion, or like, where does this fit in with your home collection? You don't have to do that. That's what I'm going to try to do. So if you like this, maybe you like this. If you like cherry casks, and I'm just trying to think of, we'll come across that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And we kind of did that. I mean, so we cracked 4 of them earlier or late last week just to get some air on them, because these are all cask strength, obviously, right? So we want to get some air on them. And we talked about how we were going to do this with you. And really, that's exactly what we plan to do, is just kind of raw perceptions. First initial, this is what we're getting. And where does it fit in either my bar or in my flavor profile, or
somebody else's?
Right, or somebody else's. Because, I mean, obviously, I've been a member for 4 years now, 5 years. Yeah, I've never been let down. Of course, I like them all, but you're going to like some more than others. So that's the whole point of tonight, right?
Yeah. And just realizing I'm talking extremely fast. There's so many whiskeys, but let's slow it down a little bit now. We're about to for the first one.
All right.
I'll go ahead and post the ticker. So the first one we're tasting this evening is called Cask 35.292 Canvas in the Breeze. I'll show the bottle. So light blue color suggests that it's our light and delicate flavor profile. Figure that's what we're going to start right here. It's a nice lighter whiskey. 7 years old, from a first fill bourbon barrel, Speyside Distillery, which is not very uncommon amongst the society. We see quite a bit of cask from Distillery 35, this being the 292nd we've had to date. And as we said, all of these are drawn from a single cask and are not chill filtered, not artificially colored, and they're not diluted at all. So this is 59.2% ABV.
188 bottles out of that cask.
188 from the cask. There you go. Yeah.
Light and golden in color.
Would you say it was 59.2, right? 59.2. So probably going to go into water quick.
It doesn't smell too hot, though.
No, it is light.
Right away, I'm getting limes and pistachio and.
So give it a little air and it gets stronger on the vapor, obviously. There's a sweetness on there, a creaminess. But what was the finish? It's straight ex-bourbon. That's it. There's no
first fill ex-bourbon barrel for 7 years.
So it definitely has that on the nose. I mean, it's bullseye.
Yes, exactly. 100%.
You know what's interesting? I fully agree. Like, just nosing it, this is a full, intense, lively spirit, but it's not very alcoholic. I mean, it's intense, but it's not like you're not getting
the vapors aren't killing your nose.
Exactly. And you get some of those in like the young and sprightly flavor profile. Those might tend to be a bit more cask driven, or spirit driven whiskeys. This is a first fill, so fresher cask.
A little bit grassy. Did you guys get any little bit of grass on that?
A little. It's a little tart. A little. I get a little bit of the sort of fresh grass. It's still bright. It's lively. A little sort of like lemon rind, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Now the palate packs a little bit more of a punch. It's there.
There's a richness to it, though. That's surprising.
Well,
It's not like a red fruit, whether it's PX or Olo, because that's not. But there's a richness to the creaminess,
Yes.
a sweet richness.
It's like a tamed down juicy fruit, creaminess, and I'm still getting the nutty too. The pistachio and something else is going on with it as well. It's got quite a bit of flavor going on.
I get that on the finish.
On the finish,
yeah, that nuttiness. That I don't want to say marzipan because it's not that, but it's
not almond.
Don't laugh at me, Ben.
That's a classic Scotch for Dummies tasting note right there.
Right,
marzipan.
Well, I would retract all my comments about the smoothness and approachability on the nose because, man, this thing is like, or not the smoothness, the intensity of the alcohol. This is strong. I just tasted it.
Yeah, no, the nose is like, oh, hey, you want to come play? And then you're like, nope.
Playground 3 p.m. Like,
yeah. I'm not gonna mess around and put some water right in it.
I put water right in it, and boy, did it just get, real traditional oak, ex-bourbon, straight vanilla down the middle.
Well, there's a hint of bananas now with some water, actually.
Question for Mark from Tamar. What kind of grass is it? Bluegrass, crabgrass, fresh cut grass? Well, we're going to take every comment very seriously tonight. So, Mark.
Wow. Well, Tom, I was actually picturing more of like a green hay that's just been cut in the field, if you know what that smells like.
1972
hasn't really had time to dry out in the sun or been raked or anything before it gets baled, but just fresh cut. It's ready, but it needs to sit for the day.
Well, listen, the year's almost over. Let's turn up the pretense tonight. How about that? Let's keep it going. Keep it going. I think this grass has been dead for 7 days and 6 minutes.
I was going to go 8 minutes, and Price is right to you.
So it's definitely got a vanilla cream, maybe tapioca. You said banana, right?
Yeah, well, I did have some banana. It's not there as much as it was, but I think tapioca is probably more of a better smell. With the water, though, definitely enhanced the nose. It kind of the vapors that were there are gone now. I'm getting right to the flavor.
I can still get a little bit of that grass in the back, though.
Tom, please do not cut back on your comments. We have 7 whiskeys tonight. The end of the year is approaching. Bring them all on.
The end of the year is approaching.
Wow. Okay. Water really brought the wood forward. Still semi-sweet, hint of bitter, almost a hint of chocolate, like dark chocolate, a little bit. Subtleness, semi-long finish. It's nice. It's a very nice light, but has some substance to it.
Boy, it handled water wonderfully.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not going to say I overwatered it. I was pretty generous, but right now it's about perfect. I don't think I could put more water and make it better. This is exactly where I want it.
Enjoyable glass. It really is, especially with water. And I can imagine if you pour it and let it sit, which we don't do very often, but if you pour and let it sit for a little bit, I think you can play around with the water ratio for sure, or not add water if you let it sit for a while.
So when we started, you had sort of given us a roadmap on what you thought you wanted to talk about with these whiskeys, Ben. And one of the things that I was excited about doing this is because, I like the SMWS, is it pushes me outside of my boundaries, right? Obviously, we're going to get into one of the flavor profiles here in a little bit. That's my sweet spot. It's my swim lane, right? But these, like this one, I don't have many of this flavor profile on my SMWS collection. It's just not. It's not something I go out of my way for. I'm not saying I don't appreciate them. I do. It's just I always gravitate towards the other profile. But now here I am getting a chance to try this one.
Well, that's the beauty about what they do,
right?
Is you can grab based on profiles and have a collection and be like, okay, what do I feel tonight? You know what? This is a nice. It's still got some punch to it, but it's a nice starter. It's a nice light starter to give you some good flavors.
I can remember having a conversation with you, Ben. It's about a year and a half ago. We were talking about bottles, and I told you my strategy for that year on buying bottles was going to be buying strictly by color profile and not by number, because I get caught up in that number and want to know the distillery, and you don't get exposed to new things that way. So some of these are distilleries that never had before, and that's what I love about the whole process here.
What do you think about it, man? What are your notes?
Well, first of all, It's transformed with water. I mean, my first impression was not. Man, I couldn't even like gather my thoughts. It was so intensely, it was wild, neat. And it is the first whiskey of this lineup, and I did just open the bottle, and so there's those factors going with it too. But still, 7 years old, but with a little bit of water, I think that you start to realize it's a healthy, relatively new bourbon cask, first fill bourbon barrel on this one, so you get a lot of the classic sort of toasted caramels, vanillins, and a little bit of sort of citrus peel. But I think just the classical Speyside orchard fruits start to come out with a little bit of water. A bit of sort of red apple, maybe a little bit of pear. It's not nearly as herbal with a little water. It's more fruity. It's more of a characteristic Speyside whiskey with some water, and it's just really, really pleasant. So like we're talking about the application of each whiskey. Maybe for me, this is a daytime dram. Maybe outdoors, maybe in warmer weather, or it's just something you can sip on. As an aperitif.
So in the tasting notes, I just had to read them now that I've had, because I didn't read the tasting notes before I, did this process, the nose and the playful and precious. This youngster bounces along with a spring in its step and a cheeky glint in its eyes. Superb as a long serve.
That's pretty good.
And I'm like, all right, nailed it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Right? Whoever came up with that one, kudos. Cheers to you. You did well. You captured it in words.
Man, I'll tell you right now, my nose is so pleasant. It's like a juicy fruit banana on the nose. It's so good.
It's pleasant. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the theme. Let's move on to number 2, just because we have so many to go through.
I know, right?
So
I'm just gonna put some water in this and move on to another glass.
Mm-hmm.
So next one, we're going to go from back to back with a couple of young guns. This is now we're moving on to the Highland region, and it is Cask 82.36 Inimitable. Inimitable. Wow, I don't know why I stumbled on those words. Probably because that last whiskey. 9 years old from the Highlands, second fill ex bourbon barrel. So this cask has been used once previously to age Scotch whiskey prior to this spirit. But we would expect on paper maybe not as much cask influence, maybe more spirit with the gentler maturation. But 63.5%, we've jumped up in strength quite a bit, and here we go. I'm reading the tasting notes. Actually, I'm trying not to read the tasting notes. I just want to taste it myself.
That's
first.
what I'm doing. I'm not even looking at the bottle right now.
Didn't even bother with it.
Wow.
Actually, it's funny. I looked at my notes after I did it. I'm almost exactly the same.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were able to take a couple of notes on the first 4 here when we opened them up earlier, about 4 or 5 days ago, which is going to help, but we didn't get a chance to go through all of them.
Slightly darker. So is this what flavor profile is this? Is the
So this is the purple label, which is spicy and sweet.
Yep.
Spicy and sweet.
Yeah.
a little oily.
So what's the age on this? So this is 9 and 63 and a half.
A couple of years old. They're still pretty young.
193 bottles. Second fill ex bourbon as opposed to first fill, right?
Yeah.
That's the difference here.
But right away.
Again, the same thing. The nose is not like very vapory. Like maybe everyone's getting used to it, but
this is much more. There's like some like candied or like stewed fruits a little bit. It's more
sweet tarts on the nose.
Oh,
I
there
think
you
it's
go.
more subtle. I mean, the other one was lighter, but this one seems to be a little bit more subtle below the.
This is like red and purple sweet tarts on the nose.
There you go. There you go.
Specifics.
Oh.
Where's Brienne? She likes that stuff.
No, what was it? Smarties.
Smarties?
Yeah.
You like those Smarties.
I do like Smarties.
For me, it's definitely like a cherry pie. There's like a baked the stewed fruits and like baked.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Sure. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Drew. Thank you.
The warm cherry. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. That makes sense.
You know
Yep. You're welcome.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
There, yeah.
You can borrow it too if you want, but
I will use that on next show. Stewed fruit. That's good.
Very different for me. Very different from the previous one. I thought the last one was kind of like a bright springtime whiskey, which is just a few months away. But this is definitely more autumnal or wintry, a bit more spices, a bit more going on.
Very much so, but I almost get like a there's a candy note, and I don't mean like a sweet vanilla or cream candy, but like a taffy or like a Smartie. It really is. There's a little bit of this.
Somebody comment on your Smarties.
What'd they say?
That was awesome.
I thought maybe I was going on a limb, but that's what I get. Now there is a peppery finish on a peppery note on the finish. There's your spice, right?
Spice. Yep. It tastes like it smells right now. It's very, very much of the sweet tart world to me right now. Candied, a little bitterness at the end as well. It's nice.
Being that it's 63.5, I mean, it's
got a little bit of punch.
127 proof coming right out of the gate, right?
It's really strong. I find it more approachable than the previous one, which is it's even stronger, but maybe it's because of the second whiskey. But I just added a generous amount of water just without even really thinking about it. I just kind of went in and added a lot.
That's not a wrong thing to do.
Right.
Oh, you guys have the droppers. I'm just going like.
You're just pouring. Well, it can handle it that way because, I mean, it's coming in at 63.5. A little more whiskey in your whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
More caramels now, the water.
It just brushes it off, though. The water does. I mean, it's like water.
I like those two fruit. That's a good one.
There is a bit more of an earthiness to it too. Like just the overall profile, I think, is a bit more robust. There's like just some more dried grasses. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with water it definitely gets more earthy. I mean, I was literally taking my first sip with water when you said earthy, and I'm like, good pull on that because that's exactly where I'm at. And my original notes, I said with water it was less peppery, but I got a ton more pepper on the finish right now. Ton.
This has no problem with water at all. I put a lot on too. It's like bring some more. Wow, it's rich too. It's got some nice fruit flavors there on the palate as well. But that spiciness at the end is a nice little kick. The finish lasts. I'm still chewing on it.
I mean, it's very in your face still, you know what I mean? It's a 9-year-old. It is what it is. And it's you know, it's got some personality. Like when you pour a dram of this, you're in the room with if you're by yourself, like you feel like you're in the room with somebody, you know, it's like, it's a character. It's still pretty youthful. It's a bit raw, but it's really developed a lot that I think is really satisfying in terms of like the complexity of flavors, the depth, which you'd think like you get, this is second fill bourbon barrel. You think maybe there would be some influence or a finish of some sort in there, like a gentle cherry finish. But there's not.
I don't get any of the peppery on the nose. I don't really get that much of a spice on the nose as I do on the palate. I said Smarties. You know what else it reminds me of? And this is another candy from the childhood. You know what? Pixie sticks or dipping stick, or you know what I mean? Like that powder.
Your sugar.
Yeah, it's just flavored sugar.
Sugar tonight. Yeah, it's for sure.
Imagine the development of those products back in the day. Like, I know what kids want, just like a bag of sugar with the sugar stick.
Good, yeah. Put some sugar in, kids love it.
Yep, and we did.
And I loved it too.
You know, the worst part though is when you bite off it, you're in a hurry, then you get stuck together and you can't get it out. You're like, God, man.
Yeah, you got to keep that
you
dry,
tear
buddy.
it dry.
You got to tear it dry. Yeah, it's all about the style.
Classic. Well, this is a delicious one as well. I like this one. I like the order so far. What we've gone.
Yeah,
it's a nice, perfect order.
There is everybody watching, everybody in chat, you'll see we kind of put an order together that I think the flavors will sort of not evolve, meaning that it goes from dumb to smart, but I don't know. There is sort of there's a method to the madness.
I was going to say, honestly, I think if we flipped those two and did this one first, I think you would have hurt the first one.
I think so too, yeah.
Because this one would have tainted the first one. The first one was more delicate.
Yeah, agreed. This one now, my last sip I had was more caramel too. So it evolves. It evolves a lot actually with the water.
I like it.
That's a good bottle.
Interestingly enough, what was this? 82. That's
Yeah.
that's definitely a number that I don't have on my bar, right? It's not, and I don't think that this is one that you see distillery labels from. I mean, this is not something that you see a lot of on like a bar or a liquor store shelf.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting, exposure to a distillery that I don't think you get that much exposure to elsewhere.
Well, I think if you buy towards that flavor profile we're talking too, right, with more candied tardiness with stewed fruits and other things, I think it's a neat profile to get into from a Scotch perspective. I mean, there's not too many out there that kind of fit that profile. It's a little bit unique in my
Pixie sticks, baby.
Yeah, sure. It's a pixie stick Scotch.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the unofficial name from this point forward. We'll refer to it as that. Let's move on to number 3. And I just saw a comment. Sorry, George. George asked, then after going into the vaults in Leith, my life was transformed. Wow. Actually, mine was too. Look at me here. But can you divulge if there will be an SMWC vault in the States? Cheers. Having some pet on this really now. Oh, very nice.
I love the idea.
Love that idea.
Yeah, having a venue here is definitely the ambition for sure. There's a lot of things we have to navigate in terms of legality, and the U.S. is very, very different than the rest of the world when it comes to enjoyment of alcohol and distribution. So, everything has to check out legally, and so there's some hurdles there, but it's definitely an ambition. We're doing tasting events around the country. Well, actually, we're confined with COVID, and now this other. We were going to start up tasting events in person again in January here in just a couple of weeks, but we delayed with this new variant outbreak again. So we will be doing more tasting events, but I think, and once we're up and running, we'll be doing those all around the country every single month, just at least to get members together. But having a venue is definitely the ambition. It's not in the immediate plans for 2022. But I think we're all waiting to see how this, COVID really just where it's going, if it's going to come back or not, or if it's going to go away. Of course, because our business in the UK was hit when the pandemic hit.
Right.
And being that we had all these venues, we just opened a brand new one in Glasgow too. So we're waiting on that out. But I think
we missed that one. We were supposed to end our trip to Scotland at the new one in Glasgow, and
yeah. Well, if it helps at all, land is really cheap here, and we work for free. So I mean, if that's any enticement to put one in here,
what, in Indiana?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Well, I think we just put our logo behind your heads, and you already look at your bar right now. You already
we're ready.
Kind of there.
I think those Easter pastel color bottles, get rid of those, and then I think we just add some more
Oh,
green
hey.
bottles.
You don't like those right there?
We'll just get rid of those and then put some more green bottles, and I think you just get the
We're not
license,
far.
and
Yeah,
Sean can do the food.
Between the two of us, our background looks like yours, really.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay, so let's move on to number 3, everybody. Number
All
3.
right.
Oh, it's in my hand. I'm like, what is it? I gotta
This
find the
one's
banner.
exciting.
Yeah,
This one's
really,
exciting
really,
because of the
really
region.
here. I think this one's a real darling because it is a real darling. It's called Cask
it's a
number
real one.
577, a real darling.
Oh boy.
Wow.
This
Oh,
is gonna-
oh,
This
shucks.
is gonna be good.
A lowland whiskey. First single malt from the lowlands we've seen. I mean, from
You gave me
from the society in quite some time.
That's why.
18 years in a first fill bourbon barrel. This distillery 5 is known for uniquely distilling the spirit 3 times. It's triple distilled, which is very atypical of Scotch whiskey. That's more common in Ireland. Not all Irish distillers, but nonetheless. So triple distilled, 18-year-old from a first fill bourbon barrel at 56.5%.
Does this distillery triple distill all its whiskey then?
I believe all of it. And if anyone in the chat has been there or can tell otherwise, please do. But my understanding, that's their setup.
Interesting nose right there.
And I'm trying to think,
I'm excited just because of the region. I mean, there's obviously not that many distilleries down there, so you don't get that many chances to break into them. And they're different. They're unique, and they're a region for a reason, right?
I was just glancing over to the other bottles that we're about to uncork over here. felt like that. We were talking about the Matrix. I felt like I was just looking at the woman in the red dress for a second. I was their whiskey in front of us. I'm like, oh, that one's coming down the line too.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch that movie. Oh.
Focus.
Deja vu.
If he's watching, hope he likes Scotch.
Yeah. All right, Morpheus. What do you think? What's your
Toasted
first impression?
marshmallow. I don't know.
Toasted marshmallow, huh?
Graham crackers.
Actually, I think it's stronger on the nose than the 56.5 would lead you to believe.
Wow.
Scott says Distillery 5 is known as the Irish whiskey of Scotch with triple distillation. Scott, who is also supposed to have the night off, this is why I'm here, is dropping the knowledge. Okay.
Because he's full of it.
You know, it kind of does have that reminiscence of that triple distill.
Yeah, it's good stuff, Scott.
Huh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, okay.
Totally different on the palate than those first two. I mean, this is those first two were different amongst each other, but same but different, right? This one's just like
same but different.
This one's out here, man. There's like pineapple on there.
That's got flavor right there. Wow.
Now, do me a favor, gentlemen. Don't look at the tasting note on the bottle just yet. Okay. Just hold off. I want to hear your thoughts, and then I want to compare with the label. Not saying that that's the definitive answer that you're right or wrong, but I just, and you'll appreciate why I'm saying this after the fact. So describe it. What do you really think is in there?
Flavor wise,
yeah.
Yeah, it's for me in the nose. It was toasted marshmallow, graham crackers. Then when I went to the palate, I need to go back in again. Hold on.
Yeah, take your time.
So it's funny. My original note on the nose, I did say I got a wee bit of funk in there, right? So I was like, what is that? It was something that was a little bit funky that was throwing me off, and I couldn't put a label on it. And it's there now, but it wasn't as prominent tonight as it was the first time I smelled this. I'll tell you, the first palate, though, I got a punch of pineapple up front. It was just like, Yeah,
lemon, citrus, zestiness. Something else too. I can't put my thought on it yet. Kind of foundational creaminess. A little vegetative too. Like I'm not sure.
Okay, maybe that's that funk I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You said vegetative.
It's mostly in the finish. The vegetative. Yeah. This has got a lot of flavor.
I think this profile is so unique, and it's pretty. I just took one sip only so far. Very characteristic of the distillery or the other casks we've seen from this distillery. Really sort of, which I think is pretty spot on for the lowlands in general. Not many distilleries in the lowlands, but it's got a bit of that sort of like candied sweetness to it.
It's thick too. It's oily.
It is thick.
Look at the legs. I mean, it clings to the glass. It's just crazy. I want to see what water does to this.
What did I say previously?
Yeah, this one right now is jumping out at me as is different, as a little bit eye-opening.
Oh, I know what it was. Okay, so I said tangerines. I tasted it last week. That's in there. That's a citrus that I was getting before. Yeah. So that's probably what I was tasting. I couldn't nail it earlier tonight.
I think water right off the bat. I mean, haven't sat with the water on it for a while. But the first thing that I got that changed with the water was it brought out more of that ex-bourbon, more of that oak. I got a lot more of the traditional note that I would expect, which I wasn't getting off of it neat. So we'll see what happens here in the next 10, 15 seconds as this thing kind of transforms, hopefully in front of me. 18. And how many bottles? 187. What's the profile again, Ben?
So this one is sweet, fruity, and mellow. Can you see the ticker going by?
It's down below.
You're sitting far away.
Sweet, fruity, and mellow. Yeah, I can see the ticker. Why are you going to do that?
Because that's what I do.
I pay attention to you.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm asking you to only focus on it. But
now, see, it's more with water on the nose. More citrus came out for sure.
I think it got more creamy and oaky, more vanilla, sweet.
Almost vanilla or orange creamsicle.
But neat, that fruitiness. And when you say fruity, I was getting tropical fruit, not like red, deep, dark fruits, but like a tropical pineapple.
Sure. Okay. Citrusy,
banana, citrus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Papaya.
Question about similarity with another cast that I actually just had to look up, Jeremy, which is 5.80. This seems to be distilled on the same date, aged for the same number of years, in the same cast type. Very, very on paper. We would call that a sister cast. Not really a term we use, but I have not tried that one. So it would always be interesting. Anytime we see this rarely, but if we have two casts that on paper have similar specs, meaning we acquired it in the similar batch or same batch, from a distillery, it's always fun to taste them. Even though they might even be the same flavor profile, which is sweet, fruity, mellow, both of them are. It's always fun.
I think what I like about this, Ben, is this is totally outside of my norm, right? This is here's my typical profile. This one's out here with some crazy tropical fruit flavors going on. It's a totally different whiskey, and I think that's fun and interesting. I think that's exciting, something to add to my bar, if you will, just so you've got something else to offer. Because I think I'm a little heavy in this next profile we're going to try. This one's totally outside of that. And it's not peated, because obviously peated's outside of that too. And we'll get into those later. And everybody's got a space in their heart for peat, but this is not that. This is not the dram you're looking for.
Totally unique spirit. If you're into lowland whiskey, which I know there is actually a collective out there, there really is.
Yep.
This is a definite pickup, because it checks the lowland boxes, the characteristics, those candied fruits.
Yep.
A little bit of it's pretty malt forward too. But on that same hand, if you're just looking for something from the lowlands that's totally different, this triple distilled spirit is definitely worth checking out. But there's a sweetness to it that you have to be into, Like it is sweet, fruity, and mellow as a profile, and it's is all three of those things.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a nuttiness in there at the bottom of it.
To me, it's kind of like a citrus smoothie in a sense too. It's got a lot of flavor combinations going on citrusy wise, but more on the tangerine orange side of things. But it's
you wouldn't let us read the tasting notes. Can I look at them now?
Yeah, check out any tasting notes that stand out.
Rosewater combined with an array of glazed fruits. Okay. It says diluted a peppermint and jasmine tea with a nougat marzipan. I told you there's some nuttiness.
That's why you said marzipan.
Yeah.
I got you.
The Scotch for Dummies the official Scotch for Dummies tasting note, copyrighted, trademarked. Marzipan.
I don't know. It's also fun
we have
to say
a shirt,
nougat.
so that's all you guys say.
Is in this bottle. So there you go. Let's move on to that was number 3. Let's move on to number 4. We have 7 tonight. This is number 4.
Hang in there with us, folks.
This is the last unpeated whiskey. So if anyone wants to do the math at how many peated whiskeys we're going to be
Here you go, Chief.
unveiling tonight,
You're up.
I think that will.
Now we're stepping into my swim lane.
So, let me actually. I'm about to open it and just start drinking it. I gotta pull this up. So it's time for a seasonal sherry bomb, of course, because late December holiday season. This is 30.118, Head in the Clouds. Okay, love that name. I don't know, maybe I can relate. But 2013 distillate from a second fill Oloroso sherry, but the deep, rich, and dried fruits flavor profile. 7 years old. And interesting to see.
Did you say the ABV?
Oh, I did not say the ABV. It's on the ticker, but you can say
it. There it is. There it is on that ticker.
67%.
It says punch in the nose.
67% ABV may be one of the highest we've seen this year. I mean, it has to be one of the highest this year.
That's a good stat. What's some other yearly stats, Ben? Talk to me here. SMWS stats.
Oh, you can put them on the spot.
We were talking about this before we went live, everybody. Mark asked me to pull out some stats. He's a stat guy. Are you a baseball fan?
No, not really. I mean,
Okay,
I'll watch
that
it. I'll go to the
surprises
park
me.
with you. We'll go to the Cubs game. Hey, better, hey, better.
Some stats. Mark, I don't have stats. Mark was asking me how many members joined and what's going on and what's doing this. And I don't have all the stats yet. We're still rounding out the year. We got a couple weeks, the busiest 2 weeks, I think, of our entire year. Okay, this is probably the busiest week of the year. I mean, it definitely is in terms of like a commerce standpoint. Just up into the Christmas season, a lot of people like to gift memberships for Christmas. You know, it's a great gift, a gift that lasts a year. And we're running a promotion right now where if you actually order a membership either for yourself or gift one, you get a $50 gift card to use towards your next bottle. So a lot of people are jumping on that, which we really appreciate. But this year was a big one. For us, you know, it didn't shape out the way we expected to. For one, we thought we'd be back to hosting in-person tasting events everywhere. But, you know, I think the different variants and everything have sort of delayed that. So we were more online. But, you know, this year, we grew, I think, as the fastest growing country in the world, the United States, the U.S. chapter. You know, there are about 30,000 members around the world. And the U.S. is officially the fastest growing chapter in terms of new members joining. And with that growth has come a lot more whiskey. And I think first pick of the whiskeys, I think you may have noticed that the selection of whiskeys that are coming out have been really, really stellar.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean,
well, there's actually been a higher number this year. As a member, I can say there's a higher number of U.S. exclusive bottles this year than there ever has been. I mean, you guys really kind of went out of your way to give the U.S. membership, you know, some exclusivity, and it was pretty cool. I mean, I think I chipped in on at least half of those U.S. I mean, if I won the lottery, that is. I haven't been able to win one lately.
Well, we did a lot of them though. We had a lot. We had a lot. I think the good thing is, you know, with a single cask whiskey, there's only so many bottles, so there's bound to be, you know, a smaller percentage of members who will get one, but we do a lot of them. There's always more. You know, what do we say this month? There's like 33 whiskeys coming out this month, or that have come out.
That's crazy for 1 month, man.
That's you know, holiday season, so we
awesome.
want to get back and give everybody something to enjoy.
Okay, so where are we at here? This is 30.118, right?
Whew, it's hot.
If anybody knows anything about this distillery, they know they're very capable of putting out sherry bombs. They like to drop the bomb.
I mean, this is like super caramel Oloroso. Oh my gosh!
So another
It definitely has it.
7 years old. You know,
Toasted.
This is color wise, you know, kind of a dark caramel color, not really, or like sort of a lighter amber, not intensely dark, probably because it's 7 years.
Right. It sits in there another 7, it'll be twice as dark. But I mean, honestly, that's pretty young. And that's why you're getting away with 67% ABV too. I mean, that's.
Wow. The aroma is like.
Yes. You don't need to get your nose down in there to really get it. But it's funny. I'm looking at my notes from last week, man. And the palate note, the very first thing I wrote was double punch.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just put a ton of water on because it packs a punch.
Right. If anybody likes more whiskey in your whiskey, this is your bottle.
But that caramel Oloroso still cuts through,
right,
like a knife.
It's good.
That's
my huckleberry.
I don't know this for a fact, and I just want to look this up to verify. So, okay, Liz, I should speak on this with authority, but we actually just don't have the information here. It's not, and I'm looking sort of on the back end of our shop and what's to be released tomorrow. This could very well be American oak sherry cask. The profile, just nosing it alone. You know, most like 99% of sherry, true sherry, is made in American oak, not Spanish oak. But we do see casks especially from this distillery and other Spanish oak, that were, you know, intentionally seasoned for Scotch whiskey maturation. And usually we specify Spanish oak sherry butt with the cask distillery, but this one doesn't. So, well, I nosed it. I was like, wow, there's the dried ginger, Oloroso sherry nuttiness, but some ginger and some lighter fruits that are different. And I thought, okay, well, maybe that's because it's only 7 years. It hasn't spent that much time in the cask to absorb all that. But I think perhaps maybe because we didn't specify Spanish oak, it could be American oak too. and it reminds me of, at least on the profile, it reminds me of some American sherry oak mature whiskeys.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I watered the heck out of it right out of the gate because I knew it could take it. And I got lucky. I hit it right on the head. This is where I want. It doesn't need another drop. It's perfect. Boy, it's red velvet cake, man.
Oh, red velvet cake.
That's a good,
that's what I'm like.
With
oh.
white butter icing on it.
Right, and maybe some chocolate chips in there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just tasted it neat, and that was just like a ridiculous proposition. I mean, it's 67.
You don't even just put some water on it.
No, I did. I just
a
found
ridiculous proposition. Yeah, someone was bold by putting it in the
I
bottle.
did the same thing. I was like, why did I do that? It's so hot.
Well, if you're gonna air boldly.
First line off the taste notes: chocolate covered hazelnuts.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna read the rest of it, but sure,
Candied for sure, yeah.
But now that it's sat for a good minute with that water on it, I'm getting some more traditional oak notes on the nose. Some of that vanilla sweetness, sugars coming out on top of it. But I really like that Oloroso note.
That's a well done Oloroso chocolate combo. Reminds me of a few other bottles I have. It's well done.
I didn't pour this. He poured this tonight. Last week when we opened this, Ben, I poured it. So I wiped the bottle down with my hands, and I remember taking a whiff, and I actually wrote it down on my hands. I really got a very strong strawberry note on this bottle, as it was the vapor was coming off of my hands. I don't get it now on the nose, but I watered the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the getting off brand for a second with the Macallan Classic Cuts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what the profile is, to me, was very, very similar.
It is.
And
it
so it happens that the distilleries are owned by the same company, and the cask production is similar. So, I mean, I was thinking, well, there's some similarities there. And that I just know as a whiskey is predominantly American.
Yeah.
Sherry oak.
I don't get any sulfur note on this though.
No, but
No.
I think you nail it. That's a good comparison if you've had that before, and it has more of a milk chocolatey tone to it too, creaminess. I think. Yeah.
Which would make this whiskey very different from. We've seen quite a few this year sherry butts come out of Distillery 30 that we bottled. This is and some have been. We've had other different varieties of casks, but we've had a few Spanish folks. This is very different from the others. I think it's not as sort of wine forward. It's more spirit driven, but it's clearly in a sherry cask,
Dark chocolate mousse.
Yeah, so
raspberry liquor. Yeah.
I'm reading my notes from the other night, and this is literally what I put down, and I can't disagree with myself at all. Pat myself on the back.
Good job.
Much more richness, red fruit, not overpowering after watered down. Wouldn't necessarily say sherry bomb, but really long, enjoyable sherry punch at the end. Does bring a dark chocolate note on the finish, and all of that's still there.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's not a syrupy sherry
Right.
at all. It's more of a blend of that sherryness to the chocolate and some other fruits going in there.
Right. And I want to point that out, man, because some sherry bombs, if you will, are literally kind of over sherried. And I'm not saying I don't like those. I do, but I definitely understand why people can shy away from a heavy sherry bomb because it is over sherried. It overpowers the flavor of the distillate of the whiskey, right? That's not happening in this by no means.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely get a little bit of that whiskey flavor that you want, the distillate from the distillery, and that Oloroso note that you want, and they blend together. I'm 7-year-old, man.
It's got a lot of flavor for a 7-year-old.
Yeah, I think with water, it becomes a bit, when you tame it a little bit.
Oh yeah,
I think it's surprisingly sophisticated a whiskey for something of this age. And
you can pour it. It's one of those ones you want to pour when you're in the mood for that type of flavor profile. You pour it. All right, I'm going to go cook some steaks or whatever else for a little bit. I'll come back that in about 15, 20 minutes and see how you're doing.
3 or 4 pages.
Yeah, whatever. And then come back to it, and
Right.
it's going to be opening up.
I agree with your assessment though, Mark, about just, if you're expecting a sherry bomb, like a very cask driven whiskey, this is not it. But if you're looking, if you haven't already, well, first of all, if you're one who has the opinion that those heavy sherry casks are not interesting because you don't get to taste the spirit, I know you, I hear you, but then this is for you. But if you haven't had a whiskey if you're into sherry cask whiskeys and you actually want to try something that's a little lighter for the first time, this is a really, really good one, I would say.
I hate to say this, but it's almost like you said Macallan Classic Cut and Boone 12 had a baby, and this is what it is. I mean,
well, for those that are watching,
if you know those two bottles, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
I mean, on paper, that sounds pretty good. Those are two whiskeys I enjoy.
I think it's perfect because it's second fill Olo, though, right? I mean, that's why you're not getting that overpowering sherry note. It's enough to give you what you want out of it, but not overpowering to the point where you're losing the distillate from the distillery. So it's kind of cool.
I like it. Very good bottle.
But that's my flavor. Well, this is my rain. If you come to my bar, Ben, and you look at all my SMWS bottles, this is the color you're going to see predominantly.
Nice.
You and about 13,000 other people. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
We're not that big, but first of all, no, it's one of the more popular flavor profiles and hard not to. They're usually the whiskeys that tend to move the quickest too.
Oh
the
yeah,
the peats and the 2% dried fruits.
That would be an interesting stat if you get to that point, just to kind of figure that out too. Like, what's the world think?
So, not that we have time to get off the topic, but another stat question for you, Ben. How successful are the packages that you guys sell when you do package like 3 bottles in a package? Because we've got a friend that's a new member this year, and he's digging the packaged when you guys have 3 or 4 bottles together. That's exposing him to a lot of whiskey that he normally wouldn't know how or what or why to buy. And so I think he really likes the fact that you guys are packaging them together in 3 and 4 bottles. So are those pretty popular?
Very, very. Those tend to be, I think members tend to jump on those. They tend to sell out pretty relatively quickly. And I mean, it depends. But I like the concept. It's a bigger investment, to buy 3 bottles or 4 bottles than one.
Although you do discount them.
Most members are they'll pick one in the outturn, as I was when I was a member before, for the team. But the bundles are great because we do think about the selection. We put a lot of thought into the selection, and the idea is always to maybe if we can strike a common theme, that's the goal. We want to go with something, but they're always chosen for exposure for the member, exposing you to something different. We do a lot of that, a lot of trying to expose, people to, I think, different things, because for us, I mean, I guess maybe this is why we do it. Some of the most memorable whiskeys we've had have been the most unexpected. I just think that's
right. I agree.
Yeah.
So once you've had that experience, you start to look past. I think that's why doing things like this, like having us just hang out and just talk about the whiskeys and be honest about it. Sometimes, some real hidden gems come out of just this conversation. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That's a good bottle.
Yeah, this is a good bottle. Unfortunately, it's at 67%, so it's one that really hurts you.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I was talking earlier about we were sipping on a couple whiskeys ago, and I said that there was a woman in the red dress in the room. I was staring at her. This is her. This is her. This is the whiskey.
This is the one.
Listen, I'm 2021. I'm not gendering any whiskeys here, but I'm just saying this is the one that caught my eye. And we're now getting into, we'll just be open with it, 3 peated whiskeys in a row now. Usually at this point we would stop the whole stream. We're an hour into this. So just about, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4 whiskeys. Usually do 4 or 5.
And now it's time to
3
turn
peats.
the cap around.
You got to unbutton the sleeves here and roll them up because we're getting down to the peat.
Are you okay? Are you nervous? Take off some layers.
Trying to quote a rap song. It's getting hot in here. Come on, man.
Let's do it.
What do we got here?
What number are we doing?
We did not open
I have
these
no idea.
last week. So the peated ones we have not touched yet. So we are new to these ones tonight.
By the way, just hold for the purpose of for suspense here. Just pause a second. You had asked me about recapping this year. I didn't really do a good job of answering your question. I kind of just jumped into some
I let you off the hook.
Promotion. We also had a live stream, and we had a live blind tasting competition. in which it was the Scotch test dummies versus the Scotch 4
Oh
dummies.
yeah,
That was this year. That was this
this
calendar
year?
year. Was
Was
it?
that this year?
Was it
I
this
guess
year?
it was.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it was like I'm lost. We
It's a
had
blur.
COVID.
It's a
COVID
blur.
took a year from me. I don't remember.
I know. Well, I know Scott's. It's funny. Scott's in the chat, but you guys did win. And maybe. Well, man, can we do? We have to find a way to do a rematch. But Scott
Are
can't
you
see
willing to
the
put
whiskey.
your belt up?
I don't know.
I mean,
we already won once. I don't know if we can win
I
twice.
feel like I need to retire.
Anyway, here's the whiskey we're doing next. First of three peated whiskeys. It's 66.19. Oh, I deleted it. 66.196.
What is this?
Inception. 23 years old. This one is, in fact, it actually says here on the label, double matured. Initial cast was ex-bourbon hogshead. So it was actually 21 years in ex-bourbon hogshead. And then an additional 2 years in a second fill port hogshead. Lightly peated Highland whiskey. Have never seen a whiskey like this, at least on paper. This sort of age and a Highland peated whiskey of this age that has spent some time in port, which is pretty wild.
Roll my sleeves up for this one. This is great.
Yeah, this one, I'm mentally thinking what I should expect here. And maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should just come into this blind. But part of me, my head's going, all right, what am I going to get out of this? What's that port going to bring after 2 years?
You're about to find out.
I'm about to find out. Look at the color on that.
You see the little pink hue? Just when I first poured it, I saw a little bit of the pink hue. You tend to get from port wine.
Oh, really? Hang on a second. Let me get, what do I get out of this? Oh, it is light. 23, 53, 5. 253 bottles out of it, though. And I'm impressed with the ABV with the age.
Yeah, 53.5%. Pretty high strength for 23 years.
Right.
Evaporation. This one should be excellent, says Adam Clare. It should be. And so I think we'll put it to the test. Does it deliver? Talk to me, Goose. PGWC. Talk to me, Goose.
Where'd who go?
Just want to talk to him.
He knows that. I know him. I play Xbox with that guy. We shoot people on a nightly basis, so he knows that I'm good for a Top Gun quote or 3.
Everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that.
Paul is asking about my SMWS has become a
The
29 membership only. The other outlets aren't doing it for me. I ventured out a bit as well. Any recommendations? Well, Paul, we got 3 whiskeys right here, all peated.
Stand by, Paul.
This one, of course, is not from Isla.
Down target.
No, it's not. So, out of curiosity, I can't answer the question, and I don't know. I don't put anybody on the spot. I don't know if you can, Ben, but the percentage of whiskey that this distillery puts out that is peated in any way, shape, or form is
that the vast majority of it is peated.
It is?
Yeah, the vast majority is peated. We've actually been able to bottle a couple casks this year that were unpeated, which was very, very rare.
Okay.
But but maybe 99% of it, and don't quote me on that. I don't know that for sure, but almost all of it is in fact peated.
So, initial impression on the nose.
Oh my gosh.
Lightly peated for sure. I mean, you nailed it on that.
100%.
Right? It's very lightly peated.
Oh man, right away.
Need some water in the nose. I want to get more flavor out of it.
Yep, it needs to open up. And maybe that's the little peat that's in there that's keeping it tight. I'm not sure.
Well, I just opened this bottle as well as I did all of these, so that's a good point. But this is
wow, hello.
the most profound, I think, whiskey we've had.
I think the nose needs water, but I think the palate is really good.
Perfect the way it is right now. Wow. What do you got?
Hang on a second. It's really approachable on the palate. Not what I expected at all.
It's confectionally sweet up front, like powdered sugar up front a little bit.
Sure.
Tad earthy. Oh, what else? And that's so good.
I think this is my favorite whiskey of the year. I think this is like incredible.
Wow.
I don't really
Finish is so
I
good.
mean,
yeah.
so I know it's lightly peated, but it's super lightly peated to me. I don't get that much peat on it at all. It's a wee bit, and it's just enough.
I love it. I love it.
Right where
it's exactly where I want my peat right now. I'm not ready to go into the serious peat. This is a great way to say just a little bit.
That's where I want my peat right now. Put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Tom, this is the biggest Oh Man whiskey I've had this year. I again just opened up, and I agree with Mark. And I think Mark, you said that, or maybe Drew, or both of you guys. We need some more time to open up. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. Add some water.
It does.
I love this neat. Maybe because I'm warmed up. This is our fifth whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean
it's good the way it is.
I wanted more on the nose, and I'm really thinking that water's going to do that. But the palate, I don't want to put water on it because the palate's where I want it. So I'm kind of torn. Like, maybe just air. Maybe I don't need water. Just let air open the nose up because I don't want water to ruin this palate right now.
I love the combo. It's hard for me to explain it right now, but I love everything about this.
So I got to be honest. I don't have any experience with this distillery.
Yeah,
I honestly, I can't say I've ever had this distillery before. Really? If I have, it's unmemorable.
So I add some water to it, and the finish now is starting to get a little bit more earthy and barrel.
You're killing me, Smalls. I'm going in. Too close for missiles. I'm switching to guns.
See, you rev them up, and the Top Gun quotes just come out.
They just start coming out.
This is a really good bottle for someone wanting to get into what peat can be. This is a great bottle.
Normally I feel I try to stay reserved, because it's very personal. Like what you like is what you like, and
sure.
I think being going from like an enthusiast whiskey Instagram or guy who just talk about whiskey to actually being on this side and talking to members and realizing, whoa, everybody really has different preferences. I try not to be so loud about my opinion because I don't want to mislead because this does it for me. But man, this does it for me. I also have an affinity for port casks, and you do not see those often.
Yeah.
You can have a combination of peat and port. The last time I saw this, there were 2 times I've seen this from SMWS. One was in March of 2018 because I remember it this well because it was that profound. And the other was, I want to say, early 2019. It was at Campbelltown. First one was in Isla, then it was Campbelltown. This, the combination of the light peat and port wine is just perfect. So fantastic. So harmonious.
So I put water on it, and it's evolving in front of me. It started off, I after water, it turned into I got a green grassy note that quickly turned into burning leaves. And then after burning leaves, it went into a barbecue on the nose, and now I'm back to burning leaves. I mean,
well, you got a lot more deep flavors than I did. I got more. That port is really starting to come out for me now, especially on the nose.
With water.
So right now, I almost feel like you took some barbecued ribs and threw them on a pile of burning leaves. That's what I smell.
I'm not sure about that one. Hey, but it's what you get.
I agree with that. There's the savory note is definitely there. I get a little bit like an ashtray too in the finish. Like it's
on the finish, right there at the edge, at the end of the finish. Yeah.
But the
that's a lovely dram. That's something that I get. I'm very weird about my eyelids. Like I get into the peat stuff. Like when I'm in, like Christmas time, usually when it happens, and I'm in. I want to get I want to get my Lagavulins, Laphroaigs, etc. And this to me is one I'm gonna grab like every other week or so if I want to. It's a great way to say just a little bit to make sure you remember what it tastes like. It's good.
A lot of boxes are checked. With this type of whiskey, because there's a lot of everything.
I don't want to pour it out, but gosh,
it's definitely in between the lines of what
that's true
Scotch malt whiskey is. I mean, it's so unique. It's very different from it's a total enigma, for Scotch whiskey.
So I'm excited because this one's getting me excited about peat.
Yeah, it actually does. It does. I mean, because you're right. I'm actually ready to start having some more now because this is like, wow, this is a reminder of how amazing that stuff can get.
And I went through a hard, heavy peat phase where it was that's all I drank was just heavy peat.
Andrew would love this bottle.
Yeah, because there's a lot of character here.
Yes.
It's not just peat forward, punch in the face.
Exactly.
This
is his wheelhouse 100%.
Yeah, there's a peat note, but there's a lot of character.
We'll save you a dram. Don't worry.
A dram?
A dram.
What do you guys think? Because I don't want to come in just will be biased coming from me, but be honest. Like, so price point of this one, this is the priciest whiskey we've had. It's also the oldest whiskey we've had. So $2.60 a bottle. Where do you think that lines up with others? That price point, and how do you view that?
I keep an eye on your guys' prices and whiskey prices, Scotch prices across the board, whether it's local or online. And I mean online US and online Europe, because I get a lot of whiskey from overseas, order a lot online. And this is right in line with your typical your SMWS pricing. So it's right in line with that. You guys aren't like going overboard. This is what I would expect for this age of whiskey. I got to tell you, at this price point and what you're getting, I think it's worth a 23-year-old whiskey on this. I'm good with that. I'm good with the price. Shipping, I can beat you up on that later, Ben.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that is what it is. I think normally it's $10 a year until you get into the 20 range, and it's maybe usually $12 to $15 a year. So I mean, that's right in line with this. I think it's perfect too. And I'm even more excited in the fact that it's a distillery that I don't know a darn thing about, absolutely. And I actually like.
100%. You're trying something that's different,
right?
It's a 23-year-old and it's damn good,
right?
Like
bingo.
It's a really good job of what they've done with the blending of everything. So it's well done. Is it high price? Sure, but that's what you're going to get for these type of bottles. If you ask me, I think it is.
Look, man, you're killing me because it's like 3 days before Christmas, and we're all scrambling to get our significant others and our kids Christmas gifts. And now you put this bottle.
All I can say is I'm glad it's on my bar.
I mean, yeah, you really have to expedite the shipping. You can overnight it to get it by Christmas, but I think you can take a screenshot of the email. I'm sorry? Oh yeah.
I can tell you right now, like, for example, we talked about this earlier tonight, but there were quite a few people that I know would really enjoy this bottle. KB, you're one of them. Bob, you're one of them for sure. That I know don't normally tend towards the peat stuff. This is going to bring you back in.
Yep. It's definitely going to it's a slow ease back into peat, and it's perfect. Perfect.
Good stuff.
I'm actually kind of nervous about what the next two bring because I think they're going to be a lot more peat forward. And this one right now is.
I don't want it. I want that.
This is exactly where I want to stay.
This is what I want as well. I'm saving it for later if I can keep it.
The cask, I would pull this off the shelf. This was the last cask we had from 66.195. 23-year-old unpeated.
Yeah, but that's rich. That's old and dignified, isn't it?
Do I have that one?
Old and dignified, the unpeated variant that was finished in first fill at STR Oloroso Barrique. This was previously, I think, the most profound whiskey I had this year. I can't remember what it was. I just grabbed it on the shelf. Happened to be the cask just before this one. But these were both distilled on the same date too, both October 23rd, 97. So what we did is we took two, transfer them into two different types of casks.
So I need to get a sample of that bottle from you so I can marry it up against this one because I want to compare the two.
Yeah.
I'm curious now. Do you remember the price point on that bottle? That old. I guarantee it was more than $260.
I can tell you. I'll find out. It's sold out, but
yeah, it's gone. I'm just saying. I mean, we're talking.
Yeah, that one was $285.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, and the pricing comes from a lot of factors.
How many bottles do you have?
Well, so this one is a large allocation of 132 in the U.S. This one right here in front of you, the 66.16.
Let me ask you. Okay, so 132. So one of 253 is the total cask, and you're saying 132 came to the U.S. Okay,
to the U.S. Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So which is all high for us. I think 90 is kind of our number. Anyway.
Well, this is Kudos to
Yeah,
picking this one. The
this is
tasting
good one.
panel nailed this one.
Let's run to the next one. The next one is something that
You want this?
it's funny how I'm just going to get to it. We see quite a few of these. I think people that it's peated. It's from Isla. I think people in the chat might even know what it is I'm talking about. We see a lot of these just on paper, this type of cask come out. And every time we have one, we open one up live, and I always think in the back of my mind, here's another one. Here we go again. Then I taste it, and I absolutely love every single one of them.
Here we go again, right?
Honestly, I'm being totally, guys. I'm just, I hope you appreciate this, or just at least know. I cannot lie about these things, but when it comes to whiskey, I'm too honest, and that's how I feel about it. And then I always uncork it. I'm like, okay, I need to go to Island right now. Like, I just want to go. So here we have it. This is Cask 53.373, the Gourmand Maltster, 10-year-old from a refill hogshead, which is the bread and butter of Isla. Well,
exactly, it's their bread and butter because they do it damn well. And that distillery, if anybody talks bad about that distillery, they don't know what they're talking about, right? I mean, it is what it is. That distillery goes into one of the biggest blends in the world.
All right, it's not.
I mean, come on.
Everyone that knows anything about Scotch knows this name.
What? The Sound of Isla? No, it's the largest distillery on the island of Isla. Known for producing the smoky note in the Johnny Walker blends, which is the biggest brand of Scotch whiskey in the world. Johnny Walker.
Yep. Wow, look at how light that is. Almost looks like champagne.
And that's exactly what I expected to smell.
Is that
it? Just a quick sniff. Yep. Exactly what it is.
It smells just
now
like
we're getting into deep stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh man, roasted peanuts. I feel like I'm at the baseball game, man.
Definitely got the roasted peanuts right away.
Oh man.
Heavy peat, vanilla icing. The phenols are just clinging to the nostrils there. This is Isla in a glass.
100%.
I wish I could jump in the glass and go to Isla right now.
Man, you're so right with the peanuts. I mean, it's like you're doing it right there in front of you.
Yep.
PGWC Ronan. By the way, winning on these comments tonight says, looks like I'm going to start off broke for the new year. For all these SMWS bottles, I'm going to buy Lowell, Kingspan, and S40. Well, first of all,
that young man right there is knee deep in a whiskey journey, a Scotch journey. He just started his Scotch journey probably 6 months ago, and he's probably got almost 7 or 8 SMWS bottles. Yeah, he's on his way, man. He's doing really good. I'm excited for him because he's getting exposed to all these new ones, and he's so excited about it.
We got actually quite a few people that we know that are in our little gaming thing are doing it now.
It's fun. It's fun to watch people go through their first few steps in the journey, right, man? You're like a kid in a candy store. You're exposed to all this new stuff, and you don't even know how to react. You're like, what's this? What's that?
There's something else going on, like medicinal or something too. I'm not sure. I can't put my name on it. My finger on it.
No.
Wow. Here we go again.
It's very clean, though. It's a very clean spirit. I mean, yes, it's got its peated note, but it's there's nothing else. I mean, I don't want to say nothing else, but there's nothing that's like taking you off the beaten path. It's a very straightforward, clean, peated spirit.
It doesn't taste that hot either, considering.
What's the ABV here?
It says it's. I just missed it.
Yeah, I missed it out. 59.5.
Yeah, it doesn't taste that hot. It really doesn't. That peat comes right through, earthy, peppery.
Yeah.
And something else.
I actually get a little bit of a metallic smell.
That's what I was saying earlier about medicinal. Maybe it's more metallic. Yeah. And put some water on it.
To me, this is, and I'm going back, like I said, we've had a lot of 53s, 10-year-olds from refill hogsheads. It's probably the most common,
right,
most recurring cask sort of spec we see. They never last long. Every time we release them, they always move quickly. Everybody, they're snatched up. But I would say this one, and of course they're all different because they're all single casks and no two are alike. But this one to me is the most similar to the distillery's core range, like their own style. I think to me, in just a cleaner, less artificially colored and and less diluted package. Like it's just, but the flavor profile is very much.
The palate is chewable. It's definitely a lot more full on the palate than it is on the nose. On the nose, I get a very clean spirit with some peat on top of it, but the palate, there's something to chew on. Literally, the palate lasts for, you just keep wanting to chew on your tongue and get all these flavors out. Like, what the hell is going on there? It's way more full on the palate than it is in the nose.
To me, this is, you made a couple comments earlier on about ribs and stuff. This to me is like smoking ribs that's been on the smoker for about 4 hours now. You just put a honey glaze on it, a little sweetener on the nose and the palate. And you've got some other herbs and spices going on with it as well.
I got to listen to that, dude.
I mean, that
he spent a lot of time in front of a Traeger. He's going to give me some smoking notes. I'm going to take them.
It's really good. And even some charring aspects of that the meat as well are on the nose.
Yeah, very savory overall.
The water really opens up the palate.
I gotta try that.
So much smoother now. The sweet really follows through from the beginning to the end. Brings down the smokiness a little bit.
Look at the color. It's damn near white. It's so clean.
More pepper on the finish, but definitely chewable. I mean, it's Isla. I mean,
it's very clean. Let me look at the ticker again one more time as opposed to grabbing the bottle, since you're saying I'm not paying attention.
This makes me want to get back into peated whiskey right now. This is good.
Oh.
So what 10-year for 130? I'm not surprised on the distillery though. I mean, it is a very popular distillery. And you had a comment earlier, somebody had posted that, their journey's taking them to 29.x. Okay, I get it. Yeah, that's pretty popular. And your guys' 29s fly off the shelf. They're gone, right? Heck, sometimes there's a lottery for them. And you guys did 4 in 1 year. I think it was last year. I mean, there was a bunch. But this one's no different. 53 is no different. It's extremely popular. It's extremely, if you're in the cult, you're in the cult, and you want it. You're gonna get it.
Yeah.
And a lot of Islas are that way. There's probably 4 or 5 Isla distilleries that when you're on their bandwagon, you're a fanboy, and that's all there is to it. You're buying it, and I get it.
100%.
Yeah, I used to be a fanboy of certain distilleries on Isla, and then I kind of just started to appreciate all of them. I was really dedicated to certain distilleries and not others. This was in my early days. I had such loyalty, like it was like my local sport, NFL team or something. But not anymore.
Ooh, Drew's right. Damn.
Water
I didn't think it needed water, but I gotta tell you, water brings a sweetness out on the late palate and the early finish that is just really good.
Yep.
Wow, that was not there without water.
The water really changed it.
Yeah,
and you can do it either way. If you want to start off a little bit more of that heavily peated smokiness of it, don't put the water on. But if you're thinking about, because it didn't taste super hot either with it. No, you put the water on it and it really opens up, gives you more sweet tone.
Right. I mean, it's still approachable meat. You can still drink it and not hurt it, but the water definitely.
Yeah. I really it's good.
Surrounded by glasses and bottles right now. I can't. Which one is this? The sherry one? Which one am I holding on to? Man, sorry, this is biggest Outturn preview of all time.
We were gonna wear our speed dreaming t-shirts on under this, and halfway through, but we thought that was too much.
I agree. Water does it some favors too. I mean, I like it neat.
It can go either way. It's not. Right. It's a two-tone thing.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's a good thing for this, though. I mean, honestly, I love whiskeys that change with water, but I want them to start off good, and I want them to change for the good. I want them good both ways. I don't want them to say you have to do one or
It's
the other.
interesting because how many times have you poured a glass and you poured it and you're like, I thought that was the one I wanted, but wasn't really there yet. Well, this one gives you a second chance.
Right.
You know what? Put some water on it. And
All of a sudden, it's the one you
exactly.
wanted.
It might be the one you wanted. So
good for you. Good call. All right, so that was 53. I didn't even read the let me read the tasting notes before we put this one down, Ben. After breakfast, we worked on a malting floor. Tell me you don't want to do that.
Every day.
I'll do that for free. The peat-fired kiln adjacent drying the green malt. That's what I'm talking about. At the break, we had smoked confit of duck. I could go for some of that right now.
Yeah.
You didn't send any of that, Ben.
No, I did. I just sent it via USPS, so I'll get there.
And there's your
Uber Eats is late.
My wife is so against the USPS right now. She wants to shut the postal service down.
They're behind.
I saw a funny meme online that was comparing all shipping carriers like during the holiday season. I don't know why I'm telling this to 112 people right now. This is like an offline conversation.
That's what we do.
It was like comparing. It was a funny meme. It was comparing. It said like of the tracking information available by each carrier, and so the FedEx one said like FedEx, like in 2 days, but might be 3 days, and then one that just said like Amazon, which is not a shipping carrier, but it said Amazon. We're in your apartment. We're coming upstairs right now. It's like,
right, exactly.
And then there was one for USPS that said, "You ordered of something?" ? Which is retelling this joke is not fun. It's not a joke.
It's not good, but it's the truth. Yes.
I was cracking up at the USPS. You ordered something.
Guys. Bless their heart.
No, bless their hearts. They need to freaking shut it down.
All right.
Let's move on. So number 7.
Number 7, seventh whiskey, and if someone can find that meme, please share it. Like that'd be great.
Give the link, please, so we can all appreciate this.
Yeah. But in the interim, let's get to the last whiskey. So this is also a peated whiskey, as we said, third and final whiskey tonight. And if you just joined us in the last 80 minutes, we're at the beginning. This is a long stream.
But
all these whiskeys are dropping tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So this is the preview.
What are we ending with, Ben?
Last one. It's Cask 10.220, deep as an oil rig moon pool. What?
You need to read the description of this one. This is pretty good.
To me, this is like bringing my worlds together. This is like all of my loves, and here they are in one bottle.
Oh, all your loves.
I'm like, hello, lover.
Kind of awkward. They're all together.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think you guys are getting ready to see a whiskey-gasm. It's going to happen right now.
So what's not here on the ticker, this is actually another one that we've double matured. So it was 5 years in an ex-bourbon cask and transferred into an ex-Oloroso hogshead. Interesting, it says.
For 2 more.
Isla. So I feel ex-Isla hogshead.
It's young. I get it. It's 7 years. And this distillery doesn't traditionally peat all of its whiskey, obviously. I mean, they do a few runs here and there. So I got a young one right now, 7 years, and it's got 2 years in Oloroso casks too. All right. Do we need to blur out the screen while I do this, or?
I pulled up the old.
It's got what's the ABV on it? It's 60 point. Yeah, it's
you know
it
what the
smells hot.
ABV is? The ABV is come get me.
Can you get in there?
Oh my, this is going to be a hitter.
It is a hitter on the nose. I need to let some of that. Come on, baby.
I know.
Come on. Tease me a little bit.
Get through there.
Okay.
Tamar says, talking about shipping, never moving to Illinois is all I will say. Illinois is a very difficult state. And Jason,
Tom, you should just move down here to Andy, man. Come on, we'll take care of you, brother. You could even mood line on the show with us. Nobody likes the USPS. Don't even go there yet, Drew.
I'm ahead of you, man.
So the nose isn't giving it to me. The nose is masking itself.
Well, be nice, Mark. I mean, give it
I'm
some.
saying
give it some
that
love.
right now it needs to air out. I just opened it, and so we didn't pre-pour this one earlier last week. So I mean, this bottle is I'm getting a net fresh pour. It just needs to air.
Go to the palate. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be just fine. That is a wonderful palate. I'm gonna wait for a second for you guys to join me, but
I don't get an overly powered peaty note on.
I think you're gonna need to wait a little bit for that to open up more. But the palate's right there. It doesn't even need water. But
what's the ABV here?
Yes, Tom. Please. I don't know how you post that, but
60 something, 60.1 or something.
Deep as an oil rig moon pool.
Man, that finish is right there.
No,
it really
you just
is
let
so
that
nice.
you let that sweetheart sit right there. And me and this glass can go all night, man.
This is fantastic.
Damn it, you're killing me, Smalls. I'm missing the comments that he's posting because I'm looking at you.
Just drink it. Enjoy it.
very, very, very different whiskey from the Cold Coast Isla we had before. It's brittle, it's ashy. There's like a warmth to it, obviously from the Oloroso sherry. Really sort of rounds out the edges. There's a temperature difference. Like the previous one, the 53 was cold. This is warm.
This is very warm.
Yeah.
Very warm.
There's
Well-rounded.
a roundness at the end
yeah, exactly.
that is
That's the first thing I just
sweet
said.
and cotton candy, and a spicy peppery note goes down the middle.
The blend of sweetness to the peat to sherry to caramel is perfect. It's well-rounded in that degree, like from start to finish.
Let me read this ticker again, damn it.
Oh my gosh. The water is exquisite.
Ben, I thought I was done for the year. You're killing me, Smalls.
Tom R says I have the webpage for this shipping. Tom, or if you want to just shoot me a quick email, send it to me via email. I can share, do a screen share too.
Okay, so as customary and traditional, after you take, if you're ever on the nose and you're struggling, there's a bunch there, or you're confused on the nose, take a drink and then come back to the nose, and usually things will definitely open up on your nose, right? So just a little tasting, tip for everybody out there. And now the nose is so much more prevalent. I was really struggling on getting anything on the nose neat. I took a drink.
Fresh bottle, rather,
right.
It's going to have all that.
Palate was wonderful. First palate was wonderful, but now the nose is so much more robust. I get so much more out of it.
Oh. Let's see what's going on here.
There's definitely a nice sweetness over the top. The peat is
I've
not
had a lot of water.
overpowering.
The nose is still strong like bull. I guess there's no problem.
But not an overpowering peat where that's all you get.
Well, I mean,
I get some peat in there, but I get a lot more.
It's more of raisins and chocolate, peat, smoky. But the palate is full of flavor.
I get those stewed cherries that he was talking about. Did you say that earlier?
Yeah.
Somebody said stewed cherries. They're down on the bottom of this glass right now. Like,
yeah,
really dark stewed ones that I just want to pull out
towards the finish. Yeah,
a little bit of bitterness on the very, very, very late finish of a dark chocolate bitterness. UPS tracking your package is in X City, USA on a
you
truck.
order
driven
something.
by Bob.
I like the bomb. We're inside your apartment. That's the perfect. That is so true.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom, for sending that. We're talking about whiskey. I mean, interrupt, but I appreciate you sharing that.
You ordered something.
That's pretty good.
Oh man.
Right, yeah.
So
This is lovely.
What are you getting out of this, Ben?
Well, the Oloroso sherry has such an effect on the whiskey. Like it's warmed it up. It's made it richer. It's added some dark fruits, but I'm not getting the typical sherry notes. I haven't added water yet. What I have is a peated Isla that's sort of brittle and ashy. That
Peanut
spirit
brittle.
that is really fighting through the sherry. You know, it's like that is the main thing, and the sherry's kind of like in its way, and it's just trying to move through it. But the sherry's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I know. I think you're absolutely right. I think that the peanut brittle sugar sweetness is fighting through everything with a little bit of smoke, and the sherryness is playing along with it. Yeah, and then in the back end, it's there, but it's not super prominent.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you guys mentioned peanut brittle and wants me to give you guys a quote from an old movie called Wildcats, but I'm going to let it go.
You love that movie.
I know. It's a good
Tom,
movie.
or if you have the quote, email it to me. We'll do the screen share.
The Goldie Hawn movie from the 80s, Tom, Wildcats. There's a nice quote about peanut brittle in there. Left over from last year's school drive.
Oh,
I just gave it to you.
Is that Matthew McConaughey too? Come on. You get the tone.
Oh, God.
Any final
This is
thoughts?
a nice bottle too. I mean, all these bottles tonight have been great, honestly. I like the honestly my favorite thing
I
about
really
the
think
whole
the palate kills this one. I think the palate is where this bottle's at.
Yeah, absolutely. The nose is, to be fair, the nose is like, for me, it's nothing crazy because I'm still struggling to get in there. But the palate is wonderful. It's got all kinds of flavor to it. The sweetness is perfect. The peanut brittle for me is great. I love it. It's really good. But I was going to say that the thing about all the bottles tonight for so far, it's really cool, just the flavor profile situation. And that really hits home. If you're not knowing what you're doing about Scotch,
right.
it really cool. It's cool to say, like, you know what, I want this is my palate. I want to go for this. I want to go for this. And you can pick by even color coded now. But I mean, you can pick that. And tonight was a cool wave of flavors from the beginning to the end.
Right. So, I mean, obviously we've been members for a while then, and we know about the flavor profile, color ring and everything. But have I ever sat down and been able to literally explore a breadth of your flavor profiles in one sitting? This kind of was the first time, and you're right, Drew. It really was cool to take the journey. And
if you watch us,
you guys are
fast forward through the BS if you want
spot.
to. But honestly, the profiles have been spot on to what you said.
Right.
Around the horn.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty cool journey.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to the tasting panel and to you guys putting these in the correct profiles, because honestly, if a person, like I told you that year, if someone just wants to buy based on profile, I think you're going to be safe. You're going to be,
if you're watching this too, and you're trying to buy a Christmas present for somebody, right? That's the perfect reason why you can pinpoint and say, well, think back and say, what does this person normally drink? And you can kind of help profile that and say, okay, this is the profile I need to go hunt in.
Yeah, yep. I want to just jump in, and because Amy was asking about George who stepped away. Sorry, I was doing all things at once. Amy, for talking about George, I think the 66.196, which is not one of the last two, but that I think is one that I know George would like, because he's so into this one that he had 120.
Good to see you, Amy. We miss you.
He was into another peated Highland that was similar to that. So and then they don't come around often, and this is something different, but it's very similar. Yeah. Let me just real quick just share. I pull up this PDF. I want to just share this. This is very
spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's
something
just
that's got to be. This is it. This is what's coming out tomorrow at 1.
There's my PDF talk. I meant to open the window, but yeah. So this is everything that's coming out tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Everything we just tasted tonight. So just kind of looking at these real quick. These are numerical order. It's not the order in which we tasted them. But I'm curious for each of you. What was your standout? I mean,
I got to be honest with you.
Totally honest.
I'm honestly really impressed with the 66 and this last one with the 10. I really appreciated. I've been outside the peated wheelhouse for a long time, and these ones have brought me back into a peated love without beating the crap out of me with peat.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they bring a lot to the table. Yes, the lowland is cool because I don't get exposed to lowlands that often, so I was very interested in that one. Of course, I like the deep, rich, and dried fruits, but I got so many of those. I really think, you're killing me, Ben, that I gotta budget myself towards what I can get, and it's already over it. But there was some really interesting ones. That port was neat. It was cool. It was an experience to be exposed to that.
I think for me, 66, that lightly peated was a home run for me tonight, just because of it just fit everything I wanted to get into the peated world, and then some. The port finish, it was unbelievable.
Yep.
It really. I can't wait to try some more.
You
again
saved
here.
it.
I saved some because I want to have some more of it. And honestly, I mean, all of them have been great. They all fit a lot of my profiles, but you know what? I am also really kind of getting back into the lighter side of Scotch and appreciating what's going on. And that first bottle we had, the Light and Delicate, the Canvas in the Breeze, that was damn good too. It really was. It was a nice way to get into some good flavored Scotch without going crazy on super uber powerful flavors. So it's a nice and it's exactly what it says, light and delicate.
You know the irony on that bottle? That particular bottle is better than anything that distillery puts out.
No, I know.
I mean,
if you know what we're talking about, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and I've had a lot of the distillery labels from that distillery, and that particular 7-year-old that you guys put out beats the crap out of everything that they put out on the show.
I'm assuming, Ben, you're going to agree with us on the 66.
I think it's a must. You know, obviously, looking at this list, it's convenient to say that because it's the priciest whiskey. It's not convenient, although whiskey's going to move. It's if you're looking for a real experience and can swing the price point.
Yeah. Yep, you're right.
Factoring tax and shipping, for me, that's what it's about. You know, but again, I'm in quite a privileged position as you guys are. We have all this whiskey at home. Like all my whiskey lasts a long time.
Sure.
So I'm recognizing, you know, my position. It's a little atypical. You know, for other people, they don't want to sit around on a bottle for a number of years. But if you're looking for a whiskey to sit around, hold around for years, you know, at that point, the price is not as much of a factor. So because, you know, I mean, it's easier to justify. So 100% that is the whiskey I would jump on. I want to call one correction here. I just realized as we're doing this whole thing, one of the whiskeys we tasted is actually, we have to postpone the release. It's not coming tomorrow. And you'll probably notice this. That was the 82.36 we had. Was a second whiskey of the night. I just saw a note here. We had to delay the release because the rest of the bottles are, I think, stuck in transit. USPS maybe. No, I'm just kidding. So we actually so this is the curveball here. Up here on this list is 9.205, a surprising delight. We didn't actually taste that one tonight, but we did just replace it with that one. Just so we can have another one.
That wasn't okay.
So yeah, I was looking at this thinking like,
I was looking too. I'm like, I don't remember tasting that one.
Yeah, that was 82. That was the spot of the 82.
So
I see.
If anybody watched us taste the 82 and you were like, oh man, I was really into that. That was the one for me.
It was really good.
It's coming soon. You shoot us an email, info@smwsa.com, and we can kind of we'll give you an update on when it's coming. It will come. It's just delayed. So we've replaced it with this 9.205. So my apologies for that. I can assure you that other 6 whiskeys are all coming tomorrow. And here's the list right here. So that's yeah, listen, guys. First of all, thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. Everybody in chat, thank you for being part of this, making this happen. Really, really enjoyed the whole stream, and of course, man, I guess this is the last stream we're doing this year. At least the last Outturn preview we're doing this year. So couldn't think of better guests to have. You guys have been such good supporters. We've had a lot of great members come to our club. I think having heard about us on your channel, just watching you guys just be legitimate fans of what we do. So thank you. Obviously, we're supporters of you. If you're not following Scotch for Dummies or you're not subscribed to their channel, please subscribe to Scotch for Do I have to? Is it in the comments? Well, I'll add the comment to it, so we'll link your channel. That should be linked. Sign up for Patreon if you're not already. Go support them. Support their content. Sign up for the Discord server, the most
That's
active
where the fun's at, man.
That's honestly,
you know you're there.
The community
There's
is
a
amazing.
ton of conversation going on in there.
It's all organic
the
now
time.
too. It's amazing.
Everybody.
I know the hands are off. I could tell you. It's just like I said and forget
It's a
it.
machine.
It is a machine.
It's the Matrix. It's the Terminator. It's
Yeah.
Skynet.
Well,
Ben, thanks for having us tonight.
well,
I honestly
there's-
been looking forward to sitting down and doing this with you for the last 3 or 4 months, and we've been postponing it.
Yeah.
So we're really, really honored to be able to do this with you. And happy holidays. We
Great
love
to
you.
see you, Ben.
We're
Always.
diehard fans of SNWS, and to everyone watching, happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Cheers.
Happy
Cheers,
holidays.
Ben.
Cheers.